Hi there. We're now on chapter 23, Stakeout at Grandmother Miss Lacey's, pardon me. "Where's Sal?" I asked the next morning, blasting into Skeeter's office. "Sick," Skeeter said, marking her place in her law book. "She might be back tomorrow." Tomorrow? Crud. The day oozed by like a sloth on pain meds. Even Harm wilted as the morning slid into afternoon. "Harm Crenshaw," Miss Retzel said, clapping her hands. "Wake up." Harm lifted his head from his desk and gave her a sleepy smile. "The periodic table," he said. He blinked. "This is science, isn't it?" Miss Retzel went glacier. "We finished science a half hour ago." "Harm," she said, "you've fallen asleep 2 days in a row. Why?" Attila sneered. "I hear Mr. Red's building a still in his living room. Maybe the noise is keeping Harm up." A still is where people make alcohol, and it's also illegal. Harm stretched. "I'm sorry, Miss Retzel. I haven't been sleeping well. I'm Miss Thornton's house guest, and I haven't quite settled in." He gave her a sleepy smile. "I promise it won't happen again." Harm corralled Dale and me on the way out of school. "You've stayed late at Miss Thornton's before," he said, looking at me. "Did you hear anything weird?" "Weird?" I said. "You mean like guineas?" "Guinea hens. They make a lot of noise." He raked his fingers through his hair. "I mean like running water or creaks and bumps." "I don't want to seem lame, but—" He shrugged. "Maybe it is that old boiler, or the house settling. Throw in those squawking guineas." "Squawking? At night? What's scaring them?" Dale demanded. "How should I know?" Harm asked, exasperated. "But I thought we could check it out. You know, pro bono her a stakeout." "A luxury stakeout," I said. "Count me in." "When?" "Tonight." "Come see the pups first," Dale said, "and I need to check on Newton." I hopped on my bike. "Race you!" I shouted. "Hey, girl," Dale said a few minutes later, rubbing Queen Elizabeth's ears. The puppies tumbled around her, mewing. The biggest rolled to his feet and tried to walk. I laughed and scooped him up. He squirmed against my chest, a warm armful of wiggle and mew. "He's like a little sumo wrestler." Dale gently sorted the puppies. "That's Mary, Queen of Scots, Miss Retzel's pup. Sal picked little Ming. Skeeter wants King John, and Susanna's taking Ferdinand the First. Little Agnes wants this one," he said, picking up the only spotted pup in the litter. "She said, 'This one is different.' That's a kindergarten skill. She hasn't picked a name yet." I strolled over to the terrarium. "Where's Newton?" "Resting," Dale said, going shifty. He grabbed his guitar and sang, "How much is that puppy in the closet? The one with the cute little tail." Harm tromped back in. "Miss Rose says it's rude for us to go to Miss Thornton's hungry. She's warming up pizza for us." "Pizza?" Dale gasped. "No!" Miss Rose's scream pierced the air. "Dale Earnhardt Johnson III, you get in this kitchen right this minute." Dale dropped his guitar. "Mama!" he cried, running to the door. "I can explain." Harm and I raced down the hall behind him. Miss Rose stood at the open refrigerator. "What's the meaning of this?" she demanded, nudging a pizza box with a spatula. "What's Newton doing in my icebox?" "Did you put him in there, Dale?" "Rhetorical?" he whispered, looking hopeful. "Dale," Miss Rose said, "why is your lizard—" "He's not a lizard," Dale replied. "He's an amphibian. The difference—" Miss Rose stomped her foot. When she spoke, her voice came out like canned cake frosting, unnaturally smooth and way too sweet. "Dale, there's a newt in my refrigerator. Explain." "Newton's depressed. I think he's fallen off life cycle, and he's my responsibility. Maybe he'll feel better if he hibernates." Miss Rose stared at Dale like she was adding up to see if she could afford boarding school. "I thought about putting him outside," Dale said, "but there's the possibility of cats and coyotes." "Still," he admitted, "the refrigerator may have been a mistake." "Do you think so?" Harm said, very innocent. Newton lifted his head and blinked. "I'll take him to my room," Dale told Miss Rose, "unless you want to keep him with you while we're on stakeout." "Your room's fine," she said. "And Dale, everything's not your responsibility. You're 11 years old." 11 3/4. "Can I borrow your electric blanket?" Dale asked. "Because Newton's—" "No," she said. "No," Dale echoed, heading down the hall. "I didn't think so." Newton? Depressed? Tragic, Grandmother Miss Lacey said a half hour later, placing a plate of cookies on the table. Her eyes traveled to the window and Lavender's garage. "I'm afraid Newton's not alone," she murmured. A vase of tulips graced the table by the window. A card lay beside it. I could just make out the word troubadour. From Dale's synonym? Metaphor. Hannah's metaphor, Harm's flower of choice. Her eyes followed my gaze. "Red," she said, smiling. "It makes us young again." She strolled over to adjust the card. "Harm, I wish you'd told me you couldn't sleep." "I'm a light sleeper," he said. A total lie. I've seen him sleep through a fire drill. "I just need to understand the sounds here," Harm said, "like, I don't know, water gurgling, things squeaking. I'll sleep better when I know what they are." "We thought we'd pro bono you a stakeout," I said. "We brought our PJs." "A sleepover. Wonderful," she said, flushing like a girl. "Having those sounds explained will be a bonus. Sometimes I feel like someone's staring at me when I know nobody's here, and a chill slips right up my spine." She shivered. "Why don't I cook some dinner?" "Liver and onions," she said, watching my face, "with rutabagas and wilted spinach." She burst out laughing. "My word, your face. Burgers and fries? I'll call the cafe." Old people humor, I thought, shaking my head. I never see it coming. After supper, Grandmother Miss Lacey and me developed film. Harm helped Dale with his math homework. "But why would fractions even want to divide decimal numbers?" Dale demanded as I walked in from the darkroom. "It doesn't make sense." "I don't know why," Harm said, his calm unraveling. "I just know it will be on the test. Try again." Finally, we settled in. Dale and Harm upstairs in the guest room, Grandmother Miss Lacey in her room upstairs, me on the parlor sofa. I curled up with my pillow toward the door and my eyes on the window. My eyes closed. Bump! What was that? A man at the window? The wind blew, sending a kaleidoscope of shadows across the window screen. Just the wind. I settled back and closed my eyes. A creak behind me. A sharp dance of prickles across my shoulders. Was someone behind me in the doorway? I darted a glance. Nobody. I almost dissolved into sleep when... "Mo?" "What?" I gasped, sitting up. "It's Dale. Harm and me wondered if you'd been killed yet." "Yet?" Dale slipped into the room. "I mean, you're like a human sacrifice if there's a killer in here, because you're the only one downstairs, so he'd get you first. We were just wondering if you were, dead." "Dale was wondering," Harm whispered. "I wasn't." My eyes adjusted to the moonlight. They stood side by side in pale pajamas, the tall one slouching against the door frame, the short one shifting from foot to foot. "I'm okay, desperados," I whispered. "Go back to bed." I never could say for sure what woke me up next. Maybe it was the ragged tin can squawk of Grandmother Miss Lacey's guineas, or the clunk of the radiator, or the flicker of flat orange light against the window panes. I stumbled to the window, half asleep, and tried to piece together the picture outside. Orange snake tongues darting from the garage's eaves, moonlight glinting off the curves of Lavender's truck, the sharp, greedy smell of smoke. Fire! Fire! I shouted. Fire! The garage! Fire! Time slung me forward and shot me into the hall. I turned at the stairs. Fire! I screamed. Fire! Upstairs, a door slammed. The boiler thunked. Footsteps thundered down the hall. Then I heard it, faint and distant. Help! Help me! Lavender! Dale flew halfway down the steps and vaulted over the banister. The garage! I shouted as Harm pounded on Grandmother Miss Lacey's door. Hurry! It's Lavender! Fire! And that's the exciting end of chapter 23.